So we're going to go ahead and start. Tonight, we're going to talk about the COMET Experience. And we have Natavis Eric Harris, who's the Planning and Development Specialist for the COMET. We have Rosalind Andrews, who is the Director of Finance and CFO. We have Tanisha Gibbons, who's the Customer Experience and Compliance Manager. And then we have, for our partnership spotlights, we have Kim Tissot, who's the Executive Director of ABLE South Carolina, Ishana Young-Pierre, who's the Community Outreach and Business Development Person for Blue Backer, South Carolina. And then we have the Environmental Affairs Community Engagement Department at DHEC, who is going to talk to us about the partnership that we have developed with them. And we have Monica Taylor and Jocelyn Walters Brannon representing them. So the bios are in your packet. And in the interest of time, I'm going to introduce Natavis Eric Harris, who's going to talk to us about planning and routes.
Planning and routes, yes.
All right. Should I proceed?
Yes, sir.
All right. Thank you, everyone, for having me. Again, I am Natavis Eric Harris. Here I go by Eric Harris. I formerly was with the city of Columbia, and they call me Natavis. So sometimes it's appropriate to say the full name, just in case you choose one or the other. But I am the Planning Development Specialist. We work on a variety of different projects. We pride ourselves on collaborating with so many different government agencies and being able to bridge that gap between communication and coordination. So as it stands right now, some of the major things that we do in-house is we plan out bus stop amenities. And that can be anything. We can be looking at a bench, 12-foot bench, 12-foot shelter, 16-foot shelters, semi-seats. We can lean rails, anything of that nature, even just a trash can. If you see a location that you know of that you think we should look into, just please feel free to reach out and we'll make sure that we provide the amenity that is fit for that location. But also, of course, I design routes. That's the probably the most important thing. We want to make sure we put service into places that are essential in order to get people to places that they need to go. We also look at horizontal and vertical projects and also complete street projects. And that's one of those collaborative efforts there where we're looking at bicycle lanes and how we connect blue bike infrastructure to a Comet bus stop. And so you'll see a lot of those programs over the course of time and how we try to, again, integrate our services with all of the above. So as of now, we're working on a major project called Reimagine the Comet. And this project is consisting of 3 different major components, one of which is our current level of service. The other is a coverage option and also a ridership alternative. Now, the difference between the 3, currently right now, we don't really have a system in place. We just have, over the course of time, people planned out routes and they said, hey, let's just put it here, put it there. But now we're trying to make a comprehensive analysis of where we need to plan next. So we're doing a full system revamp. So looking at a ridership alternative, you're looking at placing routes only in essential places that people use them the most. If you're looking at a coverage option, you're looking at where trying to provide services as far as you can possibly provide them. Now, when you try to merge the 2, that's when you get something similar to what we currently have. But obviously, we need to look into how to make our system more optimal to 2021. So that is the current process that we're going through now. If you would like to provide feedback, please visit us at reimaginethecomet.org. We'll be happy to take in some of that information. We're still doing project rollout as we speak. Well, we're in the planning stage. Project rollout will be sometime in the fall this year. But the survey is still available. You still have time to put in your comments for project rollout come again towards the fall of this year. Outside of that, some other major things I guess I can note, we look into the ridership analysis. We do that every single year where, again, we take a comprehensive look at all of our routes and see which routes are performing the best, which ones are performing the least, and see what we need to do in order to provide service improvements. And again, right now we're getting ready to install strategic mapping on all of our buses. It's our new AVL system. And to kind of bring everyone up to speed who's not as transit literate, basically the most exciting part about that is the APCs, which is our automatic passenger counters. We're able to see how many people are getting on at any given stop easily, and it's a little bit more accurate than we've ever had in transit history, I guess, in the city of Columbia. And so it's really, really exciting because we can see better performance data, highly concentrated areas, and passenger loads. So when are our buses filled to capacity? And we start to see some of those things over the course of the pandemic and how valuable that data is. So for an example, like 801, that bus was filled to capacity way too often. And what we did, we provided recommendations for what we would call a tripper to be on guard just in case we needed to send out another bus to make sure no passengers were left behind. So these are some of the things that are going on the planning side of the house. But I know that Tanisha will definitely bring you up to speed on a lot that she's working on. We work very, very close as well. And she'll make sure that she covers any other ends of the COMET system from a public service side. And I'm really excited about what she may provide you with as well. One thing I want to note, I guess provide you guys as well, is the transit app is really, really, really useful. We are trying to collect as much data as possible so we can correct any gaps in our service as possible. But the transit app is allowing us to see the most popular routes from just a user base. So if you're looking at all of the routes, and it was Blake who actually showed me some of these features as of late, and he's on the call. I believe Blake's there. Blake, are you there?
Yes.
Blake, if you would like to just, comment on the transit app, I mean, please do so, just so people can know the importance of the use of that app.
Yeah, so the transit app's got some really interesting, powerful data behind it. You can actually see when someone's taking a bike over a bus, for example. You can be able to see where they're taking that bike or bus to. It should give us data about hotspots in the city and how people are getting to those areas. Additionally, it can show us what users, where they are in the city, the age of the user, where they're coming from. There's just a lot of data behind it. So if you haven't gotten the transit app yet, download it now. We're doing a lot of work just to beef up the experience. So stay tuned for that and download the transit app if you haven't done so already.
Absolutely. And to add light to that, what we're doing, and I guess how we found out so much information was from a project where we're trying to analyze route patterns from Blue Bike. We want to know where, well, at least we want to provide guidance to the city of Columbia to see where do we need to prioritize more complete streets, more bicycle lanes, any type of bicycle infrastructure. That way we can improve bike to bus planning and collaboration. So as we're trying to take steps in that direction, we're discovering new things. We partner with the city of Raleigh to try to gain some ground in that direction. And hopefully in the near future, you'll be able to go to the COMET's website, or you can go to the City of Columbia's website and be able to see real-time information of where people are traveling. But outside of that, I think that is the gist of what's going on here on the planning side. I'm open for any questions or comments that you may have.
I will add really quick, for some of you guys who don't know with the literature, a semi-seat is basically just a really small, they can be on the pole of the bus sign, or it's a really small seat, really singular. And then AVLs are automatic vehicle location. I think Eric, you mentioned APC, which is automatic passenger counts. So there's just some of the terminology behind those.
Yeah. Thank you, Blake.
Hey, thank you so much, Eric and Blake. Does anyone have any questions for them?
I have a question, Eric. Y'all collect passenger data, so counts of passengers, but y'all collect any data on where those passengers are actually originating from? So if they're having to walk, 6 blocks to get to the bus stop? Do y'all collect any data where they're coming from?
Alex, I think your connection is a little off.
Yeah, it seems that way. Can
Okay,
hear me?
if you want to type it in the chat, I'll make sure I ask it.
I think I understand Alex's question, and
Okay.
you can correct me if I'm wrong, but I'll try to repeat it for the sake of the group. You're wondering whether or not we collect data to see how far passengers are walking to get to a Comet bus stop. Is that correct?
Yeah, how far they're walking, and just where they're walking from.
No, absolutely. So we don't necessarily have that level of information, but we do have the option for customers to provide survey input to let us know how far they are willing to walk and are currently walking. And this is also captured in the Reimagine the Comet survey as well. So if you want to participate in that, again, we are gathering that information to see what passengers are willing to do so we can make adjustments to routes and spread them out or reduce the service however we see fit. But so that's an ongoing process right now. That is very important, and that changes the dynamic a little bit. So even when I was talking about the coverage and the ridership alternatives, if we're looking at a ridership alternative, it'll be easy to get to a bus stop because we can easily put it in the places that people may need it. But if we're looking at a coverage, no, I think I said that wrong, incorrectly. So if we're looking at a coverage option, we're just spreading it out and we're spreading out service, and we want to make sure that we put it in those locations where anyone would like service. But in a ridership alternative, you may have to walk a little further, but the frequency of the bus may be at a rate that obviously makes the walk worth it. So it's looking at those type of components. We think that we would get it to a sweet spot of where most passengers will feel like we made a very optimal conclusion of how we should proceed.
And that's also one of those things I'm trying to look into with the transit app to see if we can't pull data based on where people are getting directions to and from.
Absolutely.
And I'm going to chime in here. We are also, when we relaunch our new website, you'll see that the bus tracker on the website, and that will also, we're working on having it at the bus stops as well, is powered by Move It, another app provider. So all of the apps that we have will begin to work in tandem with each other and sync together so that regardless of which app you choose, which format you're most familiar with or most comfortable with, that you'll be able to track your bus in real time and also be able to schedule your route.
And if I may add to that, we're looking into micro transit options, and Move It was, when she said Move It, it triggered that. So Move It is one of those micro transit companies. They provide a slew of service, but for what we're doing right now, we're looking into expanding Comet service, maybe to Lake Carolina, Irmo, those type of places to I guess, normally with a startup, you would try to provide a contract, you would send a bus out there, and we don't really know what type of ridership we would gain from that pilot. But in this case, what we're looking at is we will only come to you similar to Uber and Lyft. We will come to your area based on you just opening the app and being able to request a trip. And we are looking at this from a transit perspective where we're able to pick up more passengers than Uber and Lyft, where you may be able to, pile 2 or 3 people at one time comfortably. And so now we're looking at an option where you might see 6 to 8 people, depending on the level of interest in that particular community. So we're trying to engage new ridership and diversify our ridership as well, and connectivity. So as we're going through this process, again, we encourage all the feedback that we can receive from you.
Thank you. Alex wants to know, how do street conditions, for example, street width, traffic control systems impact route design?
Absolutely. So the standard, according to AASHTO, what we would be looking for as a standard street width would be a 12-foot travel lane. It's really, really essential. Of course, we're also looking at, curb radii and all of those technical terms where we're trying to make sure that the buses can get in and out. Now, expanded service is often a challenge in the city of Columbia, and also Lexington definitely, where you have a lot of unpaved roads. So because you have so many unpaved roads, how can the bus get to those areas? So now you have to provide bus stops, I guess, along I guess, outside of arterial roads, because most of those arterial roads may be in more rural areas. But you got to focus on main through roads, and which means it's a further walk for passengers, which means there's a decrease in ridership in those areas. So trying to bridge some of those gaps, we have partnered with DOT to have those essential conversations, seeing how we can partner. If we place a bus stop here, can you create a pedestrian crosswalk? Is there any plans to install a sidewalk amenity or anything along those terms? But through that collaboration, we're trying to prioritize growth at the same time with the pace of other government agencies.
Thank you. And I believe David Bonetta has a question. I see his hand raised. David, you can unmute and ask your questions.
Hi, I'm a big fan of the transit app. I used to use it back home when I lived with my parents. How many users do we currently have on the app and on the other sister apps that you guys mentioned currently?
And Blake, do you have that information off the top of your head by any chance?
Off the top of my head, I am not too sure. I know I think in the last month we had 12,000 sessions and about 500 users were saying. So it looks like average probably about 60 users a day or so. And that number is still growing up a little bit, but it's looking like it's kind of on the lower side.
Gotcha, thank you.
Of course, once we get USC students, I know they're primarily using Transloc. Once we switch it over to strategic mapping and get them to jump on board transit, that number should jump up a lot.
Okay. Thank you. So thank you, Eric. We appreciate that. And thank you for your questions to our cadets today. So next we will go to fares and passes with Rosalind Andrews, who's our Director of Finance and CFO. Okay, Rosalind, we can't hear you.
No.
Nope, still can't hear you. Talk again?
No.
Can't hear you. But we're having all kind of technical difficulties today. We apologize, guys.
Can you hear me, Pam?
I can hear Tanisha, yes.
Okay.
Maybe unplug her, unplug yourself and then plug back in.
Pam, by any chance, did you want to go with Tanisha?
Yeah, Rosalind, I'm gonna go with Tanisha and come back to you.
I promise I won't be long, Roz.
Okay, we're gonna
Good
do
evening.
a peek behind the Comet Experience with Tanisha Gibbons, who's our Customer Experience and Contract Compliance Manager.
I'm sorry. I feel like I'm sitting in the dark. I'm sorry. But good evening. I'm Tanisha, Contract Compliance Customer Experience Manager. We can start with the contract compliance portion, as Eric was saying. We provide contract oversight for the prime, their sub, and our subcontractors. So what that means is the Comet owns the buses, but we subcontract every 5 years. There's an RFP and a bid to subcontract out the driving, the cleaning, the detailing of the buses, the cleaning of the bus stops. So there's a prime contractor there, and they have a subcontractor that runs the paratransit division, or ADA or DART that you may see on the blue and white buses. A fixed route is a fixed bus stop where people stand at the bus stop. So that's where you see the large, what we like to call skittle buses. The paratransit buses or DART buses are the blue and white buses for ADA passengers where they pick up door to door. So we have a prime contractor, a subcontractor, and we also have subcontractors that are the janitorial staff, the security that you may see at Comet Central and at the building, and also landscaping. So for all of those contracts, I have to provide contract oversight and just make sure that they're adhering to the contract that was written and signed. And then there's the customer service portion where the complaints, accommodations, the number on the side of the bus, 803-255-7100, comes to our department also. So you'll get a representative on the line, whether it's a complaint, accommodation, or where's my bus. Let's see, pick something. What time is the bus coming? How do I get somewhere? Because for the people that aren't really app heavy, of course, they're going to pick up the phone and call. So they need somebody on the other end to let them know how they get to where they're going. I don't have much. That's kind of sums it up. If you have any questions for me.
Anyone have any questions for Tanisha?
No?
Tanisha, did you also talk about your relationship with RATP Dev?
Well, I said the prime contractor. So the prime contractor is called RATP Dev. And like their subcontractor is TCS, who performs the DART functions. So we don't have enough employees at the Comet, of course, to drive all the buses or maintenance staff to fix the buses or to clean all of the stuff. So when I say prime, I mean RATP Dev. So they've been on.
What do they do?
Who said that?
I did. Tell them what they do.
Oh, can you hear me, Pam?
I
So
can hear
RATP Dev, you might have missed it. RATP Dev, they operate the buses. They run the dispatch area. They clean the buses, fuel, probe buses, gets all of the data, ridership data, as you heard Eric say, from the buses and from the equipment. Anyone? We have APCs on only 8 of the buses, automatic passenger counters, but we are going to get them on all of the buses, and that will help with ridership data. I can give you a little bit right now. Bus drivers, as you get on the bus driver has to press a button for each person that comes on, but the APCs, automatic passenger counters, will help as you walk through the door. So those are going to help pretty big with ridership. So we'll get the raw numbers instead of waiting for someone to punch the button. Anyone else?
Thank you.
All right.
Questions for Tanisha? Is that a hand raised, Jocelyn? Okay. All right. Thank you so much for that tonight. Rosalind, are you on with us yet? Can you speak? Let me see if I can hear you. I can't hear you.
Yeah, can you guys
hear you? Yes, I can hear you now.
Okay, can you still hear me? I had to.
Yes, ma'am.
Work. So hello again. I'm Rosalind Andrews. As Pam said, I'm Director of Finance and CFO here for the Comet. I am here to discuss our passes and our fares. So what I wanted to do, the easiest thing to show you to find out everything about the Comet is go to our website. You know, right now we are fare free. We're set to start our fares back as of April 12th, pending approval. But again, we have several ways. I'm going to share my screen. All right. So we have several avenues of buying our passes. You can go to find out about our fares. Let's start there. Our fares have 3 categories. We have a discount category, we have a full price category, and we also have an express category. So discount is 50% off of the regular fares. If you want to go again and find out anything, you go to our website, which is catchthecomet.org. It automatically changed to catchthecomet.sc.gov. You click here at fare info, and it'll take you to our fares page. So right now you see that fares are suspended until further notice. And once that's back active, you'll see here you can purchase them. Our fares change probably about every 2 years. So as of right now, it's letting you know when that was effective as of. Here is a description of our pass types. We have a one-way. We have many riders who just want to get on and strictly want to go one way. So that's what a one-way pass is. Again, full fare is at $2, so 50% of that being $1. We also have express routes. Express routes make less stops. So if you have to get here from, say, here to Park Ridge, it'll go down the interstate and just make less stops in between. The pass types we have are one way, all day, which is good for 24 hours, 7-day, and 31-day. Again, all passes run on a 24-hour time frame. So again, it just to just give you more information about who we partner with. Some companies like Midlands Tech, Richland County, Prisma Health, Nephron, and organizations will partner with us so that their employees can ride for free. Currently, you have children 15 years or younger can ride free because we realize that some kids are just tall for their age. We kind of just set an inch here to say, hey, if you're taller than 39, 15-year-old, you can ride for half fare. So I'm one of those who had a child, 3 years old, but taller than a 5-year-old. So that's where this had to come into play. So you can also purchase our passes online through online or through an app. The app is currently we use Passport Parking app. We're gonna also partner with Token Transit, but that has not been up and released yet. So you buy online here, you can buy through the app, through Passport Parking, or you can also buy through a third-party vendor we have, which we kind of push more of our bulk purchase. Well, it won't open there. So, but there's oh, there it is. So you can also buy passes here. So if you're in a hurry and you want your pass like immediately, same day, I would suggest downloading the app. If you want it in the mail, you don't mind, you got a couple days, go online and purchase it here. I also like to push people towards the app because the app does not assess an additional fee, whereas here you have to pay a convenience fee. All right.
That's the sc.gov site.
I think
correct?
that is about it. So again, we have all day, a one-way, all day, a 7-day, and a 31-day pass. We have 3 different categories you can follow. You can buy your passes from our Comet Central, which is downtown at the corner of Sumter and Laurel. We don't encourage individual pass purchases to come to the administration building, but you'd also come here as well. You can buy them off of the bus. You can buy them utilizing the app. And we also have some external vendors. We have Piggly Wiggly, which is 2 locations at in the 5 Points area at Divine and the Piggly Wiggly on North Main. We also partner with the town of Springdale, the town of Eastover, the Comet Experience. What's that called? It's downtown, the visitor center. The visitor center down there, you can buy our passes as well. And on the back of, so let me stop sharing my screen. And on the back, every pass, as you will see, every pass also has our prices and where you have to pay. And that's it for fares and passes in a nutshell. Does anyone have any questions? Jocelyn, thank you. You still have such a friendly face. It makes it so much easier to do. But thank you.
Okay, so does anyone
Any questions? So I'm happy to see all of my future ambassadors and future riders, help them get out there. You'll be pros at how to catch the Comet and where to go get your pass to catch the Comet.
Okay. So thank you for that, Rosalind. And again, if you need to reach out to any of our speakers tonight, their email addresses are in your packet if you have a question that you think about later. Next, we have our partnerships.
Pam, hold on for a second. There was a from Sharita that would fares go back to regular price.
Okay,
So,
sorry about that, Sharita.
It's okay. Sharita, yes, all fares will go back to regular price.
If approved by the board. Yes.
Yes.
Okay. All right, well, thank you.
You're welcome.
Let me double check the chat, make sure. Yes, ma'am. So now we're going to the part of our class, which is our partnership spotlight. And we're going to start off with Kim So, or Tissot, who is the Executive Director of ABLE South Carolina. And she's going to talk to us about our longstanding partnership with ABLE and what that means to the community.
Great. Well, thanks so much, everyone. My name is Kimberly Tiso. It's okay. Everyone gets it wrong. And I am the Executive Director of ABLE South Carolina. And I don't know where you all are at right now, but what do you all know about disability and transportation?
I know we covered a little bit last class about just some of the, a little brief intro into disabilities and paratransit.
Okay, so you learned a little bit about how people with disabilities did not have access to transportation until like the 70s when the Rehabilitation Act passed. Okay, awesome. So ABLE South Carolina, so we implement a couple of programs for the COMET. One of the programs that we've had is the paratransit eligibility. So as a disability rights organization that is run and operated by the majority of people with disabilities, we want everyone to be able to ride fixed routes. We don't prefer anything segregated or separate. However, our infrastructure is not set up to accommodate people with disabilities. While the COMET buses are fully accessible, and I love that about the COMET, is that all the buses are accessible. They have the system that goes down where it is surface level, so people with disabilities, with physical disabilities, can easily get onto the bus. Our sidewalks and walking distances in Columbia and surrounding areas are often not what they need to be. So there's often not curb ramps, there's barriers after barriers for people to access the sidewalks and walking to where they need to. So because of the ADA and the Rehabilitation Act of 1973, there has to be paratransit. And so what our organization does is we assess individuals with all types of disabilities to see if they're eligible for paratransit. Folks that are eligible usually have a hard time with the walking distance, hard time going up steep hills, going upstairs, and just maybe their disability, maybe cognitively, they will get confused with what stops to get off of and that type of thing. And so, we do assessments, and we do about 600 assessments a year, which is a lot. So people come to us and we see if they're eligible. Now, when people are not eligible for services, what we do is we connect them with our mobility manager. And what they do mobility management training. And so they teach people with disabilities how to use the fixed routes. So they'll ride the bus with them and get them familiar with the system, which is really cool. Now, for folks that maybe COMET, or maybe paratransit really isn't working as well as they want, or maybe they want other options, we do have two new programs. And so one is called the Volunteer Transportation Reimbursement Program, and the other one is called Pickup Program, which is PUP. So it's VTRIP and PUP are the abbreviations. So the eligibility for these two programs are people with any type of disability, people who are 65 years or older and live in Richland and Lexington counties. And so VTRIP is a volunteer transportation reimbursement program. So if people can have volunteers can actually get reimbursed by the COMET to transport individuals with disabilities and people who are older into the community. And so it helps with their mileage reimbursement. And so if they have a family member or if they have a friend that they can get rides with, any type of volunteers, COMET will reimburse for their travel. So that is a brand new program that was just launched, and it's going pretty good. It is a half fare rate as well, and volunteers they're starting to build up now, which is really neat to see. And then our pickup program, the COMET pickup program gives you up to $50 a month to use a taxi or ride share like Uber and Lyft. And so if someone one of the barriers that we hear about paratransit is that it does take a little time to schedule your visit. And so you have to give them advance notice to be able to come to your place of where you are. So it could be your home, and to drive you into the community. And so sometimes people just like anybody else, they just want a ride really quickly. And so they can arrange the pickup program, which gives them $50 and gives them a credit so that they can use rideshare or a taxi service. You may say, well, are taxis accessible? But they have to be accessible under the same laws. So there are some taxi companies that are accessible. When they're not accessible, they're actually required by law to rent a accessible vehicle with a lift. And so that is one thing that they cannot discriminate. Now, Uber and other rideshare programs are a little bit still there's significant barriers within those programs because there's not been a law to really address rideshare quite yet. And so there has been states that have been able to address it. So right now, if people are needing that accessible transportation due to being in a wheelchair, we are arranging it with taxi cabs and not the shared rides. Shared rides are really, really popular for people who are blind and people who have intellectual disabilities that are just really needing to get somewhere really quickly, and they don't require that accessible vehicle to transport them. So any questions? So easy peasy. So we do a number of programs, but what our main goal within our collaboration with the COMET is to make sure that people with disabilities are independent in the community and living the life they want to live. And as an organization, we have 30 different types of programs that assist people with disabilities with being independent in the community, and it includes employment and a number of different services so that this transportation, all these transportation programs really fit nicely in with our mission.
Okay, Kimberly, Jocelyn has a question. How does a person enroll in the VTRIP program, both the volunteer and the rider?
Very good, Jocelyn. So all the person has to do is give us a call. And so I can actually send you, I'll send the website out or Pam, you've got that on your website too, don't you?
Yes.
Know? Yeah.
We do, but I'm actually going to give them Brittany's information.
Okay, awesome.
At the end of the day, you have to register and you go through Brittany to do that. So I'm putting Brittany's information in the chat for those of you who would like it. And also if for those of you who have last week's agenda, her contact information is there as well.
So we're just building these programs up right now. They're brand new. I think we launched last month. Yes. So right now for the VTRIP and the PUP programs, I think we're around about 15 or 20. So the word is starting to get out, but I'm hoping that the word continues to get out because I know a lot of people can use this program. Now for the eligibility, that's probably the largest that we serve. And so that's about 600 people a year. And the mobility management training is probably, I would say we're pushing about 100 or 110 a year, so that we're training people to ride transportation.
Yeah,
so we're always growing that too. And so and we don't want to make everybody eligible for paratransit because they can ride fixed routes a lot of times. And so we don't want that assumption where everybody with a disability has to ride that accessible vehicle. So our goal is to, and we do a lot of advocacy, our goal is to make sure that Columbia and Lexington are the most accessible and inclusive, so that we don't have so many barriers and that people can ride the fixed routes more. And I know John would really appreciate that too, because it's a lot more affordable to ride the fixed routes.
yes. Thank you so much for that.
Yeah.
And Brittany's information is in the chat. And so I'm going to go to Ishana Young-Pierre, who's with the Bank of South Carolina, who's going to give a brief overview of that partnership.
Hey everybody, it's Ishana. I do the marketing, graphic design, social media, events, community outreach for Blue Bike. I actually have a presentation today, so I'm going to go ahead and share my screen.
Okay, hold on 1 second. Let me set you up. You good?
Okay. So our partnership with the Comet started in 2019. So in September of 2019, we actually started the construction of our expansion. So that included a conversion of the 3 virtual stations that we had into dock-based stations. So that's what you see when you go out and drive and you see Blue Bike. So it's the large kiosk. We added an additional 5 stations. So we now have a total of 18 stations and an additional 4 new payment kiosks in that expansion as well. So now we have a total of 6 payment kiosks. So here's the difference between our 2 kiosks, or I should say stations. Most people would call them kiosks, but our station that has no card reader or screen is actually called wayfinding or wayfinder station. And our station that has the card reader, you can view the map there. You can also buy a pass at these kiosks. They have, of course, touch screen and it accepts credit cards. In the expansion, the Comet has 8 stations that they sponsor. Bull Street and Segra Park. You'll see the star here. This indicates the stations that were converted from dockless stations to dock-based stations. This one also has a card reader, Palmetto Compress, USC, Sumter and Devine, YMCA, which we actually recently moved across the street. It was originally right in front of the YMCA doors downtown. USC Hamilton College, also a kiosk. Gervais River is a kiosk. We have Upper 5 Points, which is right in front of the Food Lion. And of course, Comet Central, which is a kiosk. So with the partnership, Comet riders can enjoy a free day pass. Day passes are typically $6 for our other users, but with this partnership, you can access them for free if you ride the Comet. It gives you access to our bikes for 24 hours. You can ride 45 minutes at a time, station to station. You pay nothing each time you take out a bike. However, like all the other memberships that we have, if you do go over that 45-minute time frame, you're charged $2 per additional half hour at that point. To avoid those fees with a day pass, all you have to do is dock at a station. Doesn't matter where you got your bike originally, but just so long as you dock within that 45 minutes, you won't be charged. You can always take out a bike right after you dock your bike at $0 charge. I know that's confusing to some people. So there's 2 ways you can access your free day pass as a Comet rider. You can ask your bus operator for a promo code pass. So they'll basically give you a slip of paper with a promo code on it. You can download the official Blue Bike SC mobile app, whether you have an Apple phone or an Android, and use that promo code when you sign up for a day pass. You can also link your card directly at a kiosk. And here's the video.
To get started, walk up to a designated kiosk and touch the screen. Tap the menu icon in the upper left corner and select Link the Comet card. Enter your email and password associated with your Blue Bike account, then tap Submit. When prompted, hold your Comet card on the card reader. Congratulations, your Comet card is successfully linked to your Blue Bike account. If you receive an error, please try again or call customer service. You can now unlock a bike. Happy riding!
So that's how you link a Comet card. Before you do so, I just want to make sure that you know you do have to sign up for a membership before walking up to a kiosk and doing that process, because you will have to put in your Blue Bike account email and password into the kiosk. Any questions?
Okay, let me see if. Okay, I don't see any questions in the chat as of yet. Does anyone have any questions for Ishana about Blue Bike? Ishana, did you talk about how people, you mentioned that people have to enroll or register for Blue Bike before going to the kiosk?
Yes, and you can do that online at www.bluebikesc.com and click join us.
Michelle, I had a question about just the Blue Bike stations in general. I've used them a couple times and really enjoy it. The problem I found is that a lot of times the tires on the bikes are flat or very under pressured. Are there any plans to add just like bike pumps to the station? So that way, if somebody's trying to check out a bike, they can just pump the tire up.
I got this question maybe from you before. We don't have any intentions on adding bike pumps to or tire pumps to the stations. We have come through our entire system and we fixed those problems. I know a lot of people were complaining about flat tires and some other technical issues, but right now everything is really going a lot more smoothly than it was last year, for sure.
Okay, thanks.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
David has a question, Ishana. He says, a fellow community member asked me why the stations were in the specified locations and if there are more docked stations coming soon.
The expansion is to be determined. I'm hoping to have more information about that by the end of this year.
Okay, thank you for that. And Sam wants to know, are station repair equipment?
I'm sorry, what about the equipment?
Are stations set up with repair equipment?
No, they're
And I can
not.
specify. Yeah, I can specify that too. It was hard to type in what I was trying to say, but I didn't want to interrupt anyone. Just like I know the Coletown Bike Collective had worked with the city in installing like little repair for tires and chains and stuff like that with tools. And I didn't know if there were, this may not be like a Blue Bike question, but maybe more so even a Comet question of a partnership to have some of these like little repair stations put next to stops, etc. When people are biking around the city, there's just more access to if they need these smaller tools to assist.
Well, I know on our end, we don't have any intention on putting any kind of tools on the bikes. We much prefer our mechanics to touch our bikes, but I'm not sure about the comment.
Yeah, we don't have any plans right now to have self-serve tools at the bike stations. As you know, things could get missing or damaged or, and again, like Ishana said, we prefer mechanics to work on the bikes to work on them.
Yeah, also to put, since you mentioned that, Pamela, when you take out a bike or you rent a bike, it is under your account and it is your responsibility. So, you know, if anyone was to damage a bike, it would be, you know, your responsibility to pay for any damages that happen if they're pretty catastrophic.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I guess mine was more for maybe people with personal bikes who are using that as a mode of transportation and having those repair stations that have the tools connected to them, so you can't really like take them, but allow you to change a bike tire, etc.
Sam, as an aside, that might be something that you pitch to the BPAC committee with the City of Columbia, the Bike Pedestrian Advisory Committee.
Mm-hmm.
Might be, you know, a suggestion that that committee can take up, and I actually serve on that committee. So sounds like a good idea that maybe the city will undertake.
Cool.
Okay. Thank you, everyone. So thank you, Ishana, also for your presentation.
Thank you.
We're going to move now to our DHEC team of Monica Taylor and Jocelyn Walters Brannon.
Good afternoon, everyone. Man, these partnerships sound so super amazing. It kind of makes a DHEC partnership sound so inferior. I'm
Not at all.
amazed to hear of everything that's going on. I think I'm gonna go jump online and kind of try and figure out how to navigate some of these systems to look at it a little more, but very impressive. I thank you for the opportunity for us to be a partner, because again, it is very important that partnerships and collaborative partnerships with these agencies continue to be a priority for Columbia and the state of South Carolina. To introduce myself, my name is Monica Taylor. I'm with South Carolina DHEC with Environmental Affairs. My team and I serve under Environmental Affairs, but we have right now several jobs. Once COVID hit, our jobs kind of morphed into something very different. So we're working on COVID response right now, and more importantly, responding to vulnerable communities or responding to assist the COVID effort in areas that may not have the access that we see in other places. So we do have a couple of my team members here, and I'll allow for them to introduce themselves. Keisha Long, we have here as well, who's been very important in working with our team in this partnership. If you want to introduce yourself, Keisha.
Thank you, Monica, and good evening, everyone. I'm Keisha Long. I am the Environmental Justice Coordinator in Environmental Affairs at DHEC, and have been working closely with Monica and Jocelyn on our COVID-19 efforts, testing, as well as vaccines.
Well, thank you, Keisha. And also we have Jocelyn Walters Brannon, who has prepared an amazing presentation for her, for you all. And I'm just so excited about her taking over and presenting from here. So Jocelyn.
Yeah, well, good afternoon, everyone. As Monica stated, I'm Jocelyn Walters Brannon. And as you've heard the ladies say, we've been working together on COVID response since March of last year. I just want to, before going any further, just kind of share with everyone here that there is a wonderful woman who is the Executive Director of Environmental Affairs at DHEC. Her name is Myra Reese. And she reached out back in March when the pandemic disruptions were just beginning, and pulled together her community engagement team, which the three of us serve on with about 7 other persons, and kind of passed the mantle to us and said, we really need to see how we on the environmental affairs side of the house can support our colleagues on the public health side in mitigating the spread of this disease. And for Myra, it was most important that we focus on the state's most vulnerable population. At that time, Monica picked up the phone and she called the COMET. And so I've got a slide that I'm sharing with you right now that kind of highlights our partnership. So back in late March, the DHEC Environmental Affairs COVID response team, which includes the 3 women here today, we reached out to the COMET to help drivers and riders be safe. And Monica was instrumental in doing that. And this was, if you all will remember, back in the early days when no one was leaving their home. Monica left her home and made her way to the COMET to provide hand sanitizer, as well as DHEC coronavirus education and safety posters. So that kind of began the partnerships. Then in spring of 2020, we kind of continued our partnership by making sure that we were doing information sharing, because at that time, all of this was so very new. We were just finding out about the coronavirus. How do we keep ourselves safe? And the COMET was so very instrumental in reaching out and asking us to provide to them, which of course we were happy to do, education and outreach materials that were provided to every COMET bus. In early summer of 2020, this team partnered with many other partners in the state. And I don't know if you all remember the Benedict Stadium testing event. Over 2 days at that time, we tested more than 2,000 persons for COVID-19. But more than that, we provided essential items to the persons coming out to the testing. And Comet was a wonderful partner in that they provided free rides to the site from a call and request line. In fall of 2020, we continued our partnership in that DHEC's COVID-19 safety campaign videos and testing site locations were things that the Comet shared on its social media platforms. In winter of 2020, we provided the Comet with the state's first ever COVID-19 testing kiosk. And the goal of that was to provide free testing for the Comet's ridership and surrounding communities at the central bus station on Sumter Street in downtown Columbia. And on this side here, you'll see the kiosk, which we were so very excited about. Testing began in on December 16th of 2020. It operates Wednesday through Thursday from 7 a.m. to 12 p.m., a small break for lunch, and then picks back up from 2:30 to 6:30 p.m. Saturday hours are available. The testing kiosk is open from 9 a.m. to 5 on Saturdays, and it provides easy access to testing made available to Comet's ridership right there at the Sumter Street hub. And to date, more than 2,365 persons have been provided with free COVID-19 testing opportunities. So in a nutshell, that is a look at some of the things that DHEC and the Comet have been collaborating together with this past year. You can reach Monica, Keisha, or myself via any of the numbers here. And I just like to crack a joke. I probably shouldn't, but I know my Bureau of Water colleague, Alex Butler, is here on the call. And it's so true. This team has been doing 2 jobs since March. And I'm so excited to have the opportunity to be a part of this very, very rewarding work, because I know for a fact that if Keisha and Monica and I weren't in place, there are a lot of vulnerable persons across the state that may not have had access to testing nor access to the vaccine. And I know, Pam, we do look forward to continued collaborations with you all there at the Comet to see how we can work together to ensure that hesitancy in accepting the vaccine is lessened through our partnerships, and perhaps maybe even some vaccine clinics as well. And so that's all I have for you today, unless anyone has any questions.
Thank you, Jocelyn. One of the things I also want to mention is when we launched your Don't Miss Your Shot campaign, we worked very closely with DHEC, making sure that not only did we tell people that, hey, you can catch a ride with the Comet to get your vaccine, but also do that front end kind of stuff. And we coordinated with them, linking to DHEC's website to say, all right, now see if it's your turn. And after you do that, check the locations and set your appointment. And so I commend DHEC for having, their information up to date so we could easily link to it when we launched our Don't Miss Your Shot microsite. So thank you for all that you do at DHEC, Monica, Jocelyn, and Keisha. Thank you all so much. We appreciate you. And we appreciate all our partnerships. I want to thank Kimberly Tissot again, and also thank Ishana Young-Pierre as well. Does anyone have any questions for DHEC, ABLE, or Blue Bike? None? Y'all are quiet tonight. Was it because we had technical difficulties? Well, thank you all so much. And this concludes our class 3. Our 4th class will be next Monday, same time, same place. I will send the link for the recording, edited, of course, the recording for this particular class, as well as the agenda for next week. If you have any questions, feel free to reach out. You can always reach out to me, and I can point you in the right direction or answer you directly. Thank you all so much, and have a great evening.
Thank you.
Bye, Alex.